consider the fact that our country throws out an estimated $165 billion worth of food every year, much of it still perfectly good.
You walk into your grocery store, load your cart with the usual staples, and assume those pantry basics will always be sitting there waiting for you. They will not, and some of them are already disappearing. But here is what most people miss entirely. A small group of foods does not need a supply chain, does not need a factory, does not need a refrigerator or an expiration date. Today, we're revealing 16 foods that never expire, and why every single one belongs in your pantry before you need them. Number 1 is not a single food at all, and it is the reason every other item on this list has been keeping people alive through every crisis in recorded history. Let us begin. Number 16. Honey. You look at that small jar of honey in your cabinet and treat it like a nice-to-have sweetener. You are sitting on one of the most scientifically documented cases of indefinite shelf life in the entire food world. Archaeologists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs. They opened the jars. They tasted it. Perfectly edible. Still sweet. That is not mythology. That is chemistry. Pure honey has no expiration date because it is hostile to life at the microbial level. It is extremely low in moisture, extremely high in natural sugars, and naturally acidic. Bacteria and microorganisms have nothing to feed on, no moisture to grow in, and an acid environment actively working against them. The one thing that confuses people is crystallization. Honey that has been sitting turns solid and grainy. Most people assume spoilage. It is not spoiled. Crystallization is a physical change, not a chemical one. Set the jar in warm water and the honey returns to liquid with no change in quality or safety. Store honey sealed in glass, away from light and heat, at room temperature. Do not refrigerate it. If the Egyptian honey story just changed how you see that jar in your cabinet, hit the like button right now because the next food has been used as a preservative for thousands of years, which tells you everything about how long it lasts on its own. Number 15. Salt. You buy a canister of salt, use it casually, and replace it whenever it runs out. You are treating a mineral with indefinite shelf life like a perishable. Salt does not expire. It cannot expire. It is a mineral compound. It contains nothing that breaks down over time, nothing bacteria can feed on, and nothing moisture can corrupt in a sealed container. A kilogram of salt purchased today is chemically identical to one purchased 50 years ago. The only distinction worth knowing is iodized versus non-iodized. Iodized table salt loses its added iodine after around 5 years, but the salt itself remains perfectly usable long beyond that. For stockpiling, non-iodized sea salt or rock salt in a sealed container is the cleaner long-term choice. Salt also does double duty. It is a seasoning and a preservation tool when fresh food needs to be extended without refrigeration, like meat, fish, vegetables. Salt is the mechanism that makes it possible. It has been doing exactly that throughout the entirety of human history before refrigerators existed. The next food works on almost exactly the same principle, and most people already own it without realizing what they are sitting on. Number 14. White sugar. You keep a bag of sugar in your kitchen and assume it will eventually go bad like everything else. You are applying the wrong mental model to a food with no expiration date. White sugar lasts indefinitely. The science is identical to salt and honey. Sugar actively pulls moisture away from its environment through osmosis. Bacteria introduced to a dry sugar environment cannot establish themselves because there is nothing to feed on and no moisture to grow in. Hardening and clumping happen when humidity gets into the container, but hardening is not spoilage. Break up the clumps, and the sugar is as usable as the day you bought it. Transfer sugar into an airtight container away from humidity. The original bag provides almost no protection. Sealed glass jars or food-grade plastic buckets are the correct approach. Remember, sugar is not just a sweetener in a stockpile. Jams, preserves, and fruit syrups all rely on high sugar concentration to inhibit spoilage. The sugar is doing preservation work, not just flavoring. The next food feeds half the world, and in the right conditions lasts for decades without any special equipment. Number 13. White rice. You buy white rice in whatever quantity looks reasonable and store it in its original packaging, assuming it is good for a year or two. You are underestimating one of the most shelf-stable calorie sources available by a factor of 10. White rice stored properly lasts 25 to 30 years. The critical requirement is the removal of oxygen, which is what allows residual oils to turn rancid over time. Remove the oxygen and the degradation process stops. The distinction you must understand is white rice versus brown rice. Brown rice contains the bran layer with its natural oils. Those oils go rancid in 6 to 12 months. White rice has had that bran layer removed, which is why one stores for months and the other stores for decades. For basic storage, white rice in a sealed, airtight container in a cool, dry location lasts several years without special preparation. vacuum sealed with oxygen absorbers, it reaches the 25-year shelf life documented across emergency preparedness communities. Subscribe right now if this is changing how you think about your pantry. The next food extends the same long-term logic even further. Number 12. Dried beans and legumes. You buy dried beans occasionally and store them in their original packaging. You are cycling out a food that does not need to be cycled and undersupplying yourself with one of the most complete nutritional stockpile items available. Dried beans do not expire. Vacuum sealed with oxygen absorbers, they last indefinitely. Stored in a sealed container without any special preparation, they last reliably for 5 to 10 years. Any beans you stockpile will not expire as long as they are repackaged properly. Older beans require longer soaking and cooking times. A bean stored for 10 years is still safe, still nutritious, and still usable. It simply needs more time in the pot. This is not spoilage. It is the outer coating hardening gradually over time. Dried beans are also one of the only plant-based sources of significant protein available at this price point. A kilogram costs almost nothing and stores for a decade without effort. Drop a comment right now telling me how many of these 16 you already have at home, because the next one surprises almost everyone, and it has been sitting in most kitchens the entire time. Number 11. Pure vanilla extract. You keep a small bottle of vanilla extract in your baking drawer and replace it when it runs out. You are cycling out a product with an indefinite shelf life unnecessarily. Pure vanilla extract does not expire because of the alcohol. It is made by soaking vanilla beans in a vodka-grade spirit. Alcohol at sufficient concentration is a natural preservative that inhibits microbial growth completely. As long as the bottle stays sealed, the extract does not degrade. This is the same principle behind spirits like whiskey storing indefinitely. Pure vanilla extract is essentially a flavored spirit. The critical distinction is pure vanilla extract versus imitation vanilla flavoring. Imitation vanilla is a synthetic compound in water and does not carry the same shelf life. Pure only. Store it sealed in a cool, dark location, and the flavor may actually deepen over time. The next food has been sitting in your spice rack for years, and most people throw it away long before they need to. Number 10. Dried spices. You check the dates on your spice jars and throw away anything past them. You are discarding food that is still safe to eat. Dried spices do not spoil. They do not develop harmful bacteria. They do not become toxic. What happens over time is that the volatile aromatic compounds responsible for their flavor gradually dissipate. An old spice is a weak spice, not a dangerous one. In a long-term food storage scenario, a full spice collection is not a luxury. Rice and beans eaten every day for a month is a completely different experience with turmeric, cumin, and cinnamon than without them. Palatability affects whether people actually eat what is available. Whole spices retain their aromatic compounds significantly longer than pre-ground powders. Store dried spices sealed away from heat and light. The spice rack above the stove is the worst possible location. The next food uses a completely different mechanism to preserve itself. It is one that has been extending food life for thousands of years without any help from temperature or modern containers. Number 9. Distilled white vinegar. You keep a bottle of white vinegar under the sink and use it occasionally. You are underutilizing one of the most multi-purpose, indefinitely shelf-stable liquids available at this price point. According to the Vinegar Institute, the shelf life of most vinegars is virtually indefinite. Vinegar is itself a preservation medium. It is acidic enough to prevent bacterial growth, which is exactly why it has been used for pickling and preserving food for thousands of years. An environment acidic enough to preserve other foods does not need to be preserved itself. Vinegar is also a cleaning agent, a natural disinfectant, a fabric softener substitute, and a weed suppressant. Few items on this list do as many jobs simultaneously. Store it sealed in its original container away from direct sunlight. That is the entire requirement. The next food is one most people think of purely as a baking ingredient and have never thought to stockpile deliberately. Number 8. Baking soda. You have baking soda in your kitchen used occasionally for baking and absorbing odors. You are failing to recognize that this mineral compound belongs in your long-term stockpile in meaningful quantity. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate, a stable mineral compound. It does not contain organic material that can spoil. It does not absorb moisture in a way that allows bacterial growth. It sits in the same chemical state indefinitely. The practical consideration is leavening power. To test whether yours is still active, add a 1/4 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of vinegar. Active baking soda bubbles immediately. Beyond baking, it cleans surfaces, soothes stomach acid, suppresses small grease fires, functions as a dry shampoo substitute, and repels insects around entry points. Now, the next food is one most people think of purely as an emergency protein, but it is among the most complete nutritional items available at any budget. Number 7. Canned fish. You buy 1 or 2 cans of tuna occasionally and use them when fresh ideas run out. You are failing to take seriously the most compact, protein-dense, omega-3-rich, shelf-stable food at this price range. Canned tuna, salmon, and sardines last 3 to 5 years from their packaging date. Premium brands like Oregon's Choice, State their gourmet albacore tuna, and Alaskan sockeye salmon are good for up to a decade. The canning process seals food in a vacuum environment and heat treats it to destroy existing microorganisms and prevent new ones from entering. An undamaged sealed can is reliable protein that asks nothing of you until the day you need it. Inspect cans regularly. A bulging can indicates bacterial activity and must be discarded. A dented seam is a contamination risk. Subscribe right now. We put out content like this every week. The next item stores indefinitely for the same reason as vanilla extract, but most people have never thought to put it in a stockpile. Number 6. Hard liquor. You keep spirits in your home for social occasions and assume their role begins and ends there. You are overlooking one of the most multi-purpose, indefinitely shelf-stable liquids you can store. Any hard liquor with high alcohol content, whiskey, vodka, gin, rum, does not expire. Alcohol at sufficient concentration inhibits microbial growth completely and does not diminish in a sealed bottle. An unopened bottle stores indefinitely. Once opened, the flavor may shift gradually through oxidation, but the spirit remains safe throughout. High-proof vodka is a documented wound disinfectant, surface sterilizer, fabric deodorizer, and natural insect repellent. In any extended disruption where medical supplies become limited, sealed spirits are a legitimate resource well beyond the glass. The next food is one most people think of only as a cooking thickener and have no idea what else it can do. Number 5. Cornstarch. You keep a small box of cornstarch in a baking drawer and reach for it a few times a year. You are treating a food with indefinite shelf life like an occasional specialty item. Cornstarch is a pure starch. No organic oils, no moisture, nothing bacteria can feed on. Chemically stable indefinitely as long as moisture stays out. It does not lose its thickening properties over time. Most people do not know cornstarch can substitute for baking powder when combined with cream of tartar. It is also a soothing agent for skin irritations, an effective dry shampoo, and a solution for grease stains on fabric. Transfer it from its original cardboard box into a sealed, airtight container. Cardboard absorbs humidity over time. Number 4 is the item that makes your entire stockpile of rice, beans, and grains actually palatable over a sustained period. Without it, shelf-stable meals become very hard to sustain. Number 4. Soy sauce. You keep soy sauce in your refrigerator door and replace it without much thought. You are missing a condiment with indefinite shelf life in its unopened state and underestimating what it does for everything else you have stored. Soy sauce in an unopened container lasts indefinitely. It is a salt-fermented liquid. The fermentation process combined with extremely high sodium content creates an environment hostile to spoilage organisms, self-preserving on the same chemistry as salt and honey. Here is why soy sauce earns its place specifically. Rice and dried beans eaten daily becomes psychologically unsustainable without flavor variation. Soy sauce is the single ingredient that most dramatically transforms a plain grain and legume meal into something that actually tastes like food. The difference is not subtle. It is the gap between eating and enduring. Drop a comment with your best guess for number 1, because the answer is not what most people expect. Number 3. Whole grains. You buy whole grains in small quantities when a recipe calls for them and store them in their original packaging. You are cycling out a food group that, properly stored, could last indefinitely. Any whole grain vacuum sealed with oxygen absorbers lasts indefinitely. Quinoa, barley, millet, oats, rye, flax, all of them. Without vacuum sealing in sealed airtight containers in cool, dry conditions, they last 5 to 10 years reliably. The oxygen absorbers are critical. Oxygen allows natural oils to oxidize and go rancid. Remove it, and you stop the clock. Here is the detail most people miss entirely. Quinoa is one of the only plant-based complete proteins in existence, containing all 9 essential amino acids the human body cannot produce on its own. In a plant-based stockpile, that is an extraordinary nutritional advantage from a single ingredient. Number 2 is the sweetener most people forget, and the one that outlasts white sugar in both nutritional value and versatility. Number 2. Pure maple syrup. You buy maple syrup as a treat and store it without much thought. You are overlooking a food with indefinite shelf life in its unopened state that also delivers nutritional benefits refined sugar simply cannot. Unopened pure maple syrup stored in a cool, dark location lasts indefinitely. The high sugar concentration creates the same hostile environment for microbial growth as honey and white sugar. The sealed container keeps moisture out. Once opened, refrigerated. Surface mold can develop on an opened bottle at room temperature. Pure maple syrup contains manganese, zinc, riboflavin, and antioxidants in meaningful concentrations, nutrients that refined white sugar does not deliver at all. In a long-term food storage scenario, maple syrup is a considerably more complete sweetener than white sugar alone. Now, number 1, the most important entry on this entire list, and the one that changes how every other item here should be understood. Number 1, the preservation system that outlasted every technology humans ever built. You look at salt, sugar, and honey as 3 separate pantry items. You are failing to see them as the single most powerful food preservation system ever developed. These 3 ingredients are the foundation of every food preservation technique that existed before refrigeration, canning, and freeze-drying. Every technique, curing, brining, pickling, preserving, and candying, relies on one or more of these 3, not as flavor additions, as the active mechanism of preservation itself. Salt draws moisture out of protein. Bacteria need that moisture to survive. Remove it and they die. Meat packed in salt lasts months without refrigeration. Sugar preserves fruit by creating an osmotic environment too hostile for spoilage organisms to tolerate. The jam in your cabinet is not preserved by heat alone. It is preserved by sugar concentration. Honey preserves everything it contacts. Antimicrobial, antifungal, used for centuries as a wound treatment because nothing harmful survives in it. What most stockpile guides miss is this. You are not just storing food that lasts a long time. You are storing the tools that allow you to extend the life of food you grow, acquire, or receive after your stockpile runs out. Salt, sugar, and honey together give you the ability to preserve fresh food indefinitely using techniques that require no electricity and no technology beyond a sealed container. Buy all 3 in bulk. Store them sealed. The Egyptian tomb was not a historical curiosity. It was proof of concept for a system working for 3,000 years, long before anyone needed a video to explain it. Thanks for watching. If these 16 foods just changed how you think about your pantry, drop a comment below telling me which one you are stockpiling first. Want to see the exact foods that last 30 years in your basement without losing nutritional value? Click on the video on the left. If you do not want to miss our weekly food storage and preparedness content, hit that subscribe button right now. We will see you there.